Hey people, welcome to the Visionary Experience. Today we have a very special guest. We have Julie Turner, Director of Corporate Sales and Marketing at MBH Settlement Group. Welcome, Julie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Brandon. I'm super excited.
Yes.
I was a little nervous, but so honored to be here with you here on your podcast at Visionary Lending.
No problem. Definitely look forward to our conversation. So listen,
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about stuff going on in the DMV. All right. I care about the DMV. Julie cares about the DMV. What does the DMV stand for? DC, Maryland, Virginia, the whole metro area.
Yes.
We're going to talk about a variety of topics. So let's just get right into it, okay? So thank you for doing some research ahead of time. I definitely appreciate that as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Always.
Yes. So tell me just a little bit about MBH Settlement Group before we even get into everything.
Sure. So we are the largest settlement company here in the DMV.
Mhm.
We are licensed in all three jurisdictions of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We are your go-to settlement company when you are an agent and you have clients, buyers and sellers that ratify on a contract. When you're a buyer or seller and you need a settlement for your home and purchasing that home, whether it's residential, commercial. We have 22 brick and mortar offices that run throughout Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I am the corporate sales and marketer for them all, and I am here to help in any way we can.
Fantastic. And so since you deal with so many people,
Yes.
in the real estate field, right?
Yes.
So, we're pretty much about 3 weeks into 2022,
Mhm.
right? The last 2 years have been amazing in ways up and down,
Yes.
especially in real estate. So what is your outlook with regards to real estate within this particular area upcoming into this year?
Sure. So as you all know, who people who are in real estate and the trend that we're seeing, it's absolutely becoming a seller's market within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So statistically, according to Zillow and Redfin, we have about 40.5% less listings this year as to what we had in the end of 2019.
40.5% less.
Less since 2019.
Okay.
From 2021, we have about 19.5% less listings than last year.
Okay. Wow.
2021. So as you can see, the decline of listings, it's becoming a seller's market. As you know, and you can speak on this as well as being with Visionary Lending, the interest rates are rising.
Yes.
So what's happening is it's causing, new home buyers, unfortunately, to maybe be out of the game just because the higher interest rates, the less budget you have. And with that being said, it's becoming a seller's market for those reasons.
Okay.
The low supply, interest rates, as well as the labor and material shortages that are coming into America. Unfortunately, with the world that we live in with COVID, the labor and material shortages are limiting the supply for new construction.
Okay.
And people who already own homes, we're seeing a trend that they're not selling their home to buy a new home. They're keeping them as investment properties.
Gotcha.
And taking advantage of the low interest rates currently and purchasing another home. So they're keeping both their homes.
Got it.
And in order to obviously kind of rotate that cycle, you got to sell your home to purchase a home. But now that people are keeping their current home, takes a house off the listing market.
So let me ask you this. It's so weird because it seems like it almost came on us by surprise. So it feels that way, meaning especially, so in 2020, when everything started happening with COVID, essentially from March on, right? You know how hot the spring market is regardless, coronavirus or not.
Yes, agreed.
The spring market, March, April, May, June is the hottest, and then we get into the summer, and of course it continues from there.
Right.
But it really feels like, especially in 2021, that we weren't prepared for the low inventory for some strange reason. Do you agree with that, or do you think we kind of foresaw that coming?
Again, just a perfect storm. Perfect storm of having the lowest interest rates in history.
Yes.
For a while in history, starting in 2019, 2020. And then, unfortunately, with COVID and the less materials and building supplies for creating new houses.
Right.
Already, for me, I've already saw a seller's market over the last 5 years. It's starting to slowly, for the last 3 years, was declining into or going into a seller's market, and now it's hit that wall of a complete seller's market. So for me, I saw the trend starting in 2016, 17,
really?
actually.
Okay.
I would say 17, 18.
Okay.
And then 19 really, we got a seller's market. And then 2021 with COVID, the lack of building supplies,
yes,
low interest rates. Now it's 100% seller's market. And I think that's where we're going to go into 2022 of just really being in that seller's market. However, as you know, or I think, and please confirm,
absolutely,
the interest rates are starting to creep up a little bit.
Yes, they are.
So I think that might hopefully plateau the buyers and not having so many buyers. I think last year we had a lot of buyers.
We had a lot of buyers.
And we had no inventory. And so this year, I think, unfortunately, we will continue to still have no inventory through the spring market at least. But hopefully it'll plateau a little bit with less competition. Because last year, people were giving blood. I mean, people were giving their firstborn child for a house.
They sure were.
So
I mean, it was ridiculous.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Things I had never seen at the settlement table of people putting things on contracts to win a bid.
Right. So let's talk about that a little bit. So this is my opinion, right? Okay. And my opinion is endorsed by Visionary Lending, just to let you know, right? So I personally just think because I work on the buyer side.
Yes.
And I think that you have to have a balance of being competitive.
Yes.
But at the same time being wise and not being just kind of just over the top.
Yep.
So I was actually just having a conversation yesterday with a realtor who works with Redfin.
Okay.
Okay. And what she was saying is already that she can see that people are waiving appraisals, contingencies, waiving inspections. She had a property that was, or a friend had a property that was listed. She put an offer in $25,000 above. Still didn't get the offer. Now, again, there could be a variety of factors and a variety of reasons. But to me, I have advised every single buyer that I've worked with, unless they have a lot of discretionary, assets, money to burn, as far as I'm concerned, right? Do not waive an appraisal.
Yeah.
What an appraisal waiver is when you buy a house, the bank normally requires an appraisal, which determines the value of the property. Okay. So they want to know that what you're buying is actually worth the money, worth the amount. So when people waive that, they say, no, we don't matter. We don't care what it's worth. Okay. It could come in low, it can come in high. What ends up happening though, is if you're buying a house, for example, for $400,000, that's on the contract. That's the purchase price. The appraisal value comes in at $390,000. Okay. Well, guess what? The contract price is still $400,000. You have to bring that extra $10,000 difference to the table out of your pocket between the appraisal value, okay, and between what the contract price is. I actually did a video on this on market value versus intrinsic value. Check it out, okay? And push my podcast subscriber engineer said push up here, like point up here. Don't worry, I'm pretty improvisational when I do these things, so I really don't care. So absolutely.
But having that negative equity is not good when you are a new home buyer, especially as a new home buyer.
We'll talk about that for a little bit.
Don't want that negative equity.
Right, and so explain what the negative equity is and what the potential effects could be.
Right, so as you stated, if you're buying a $400,000 home, it's being appraised at, let's just say, $390,000, as you stated.
Right.
That means you are buying this home negative $10,000 in equity.
Yes.
This home is only worth $390,000. You're paying $10,000 out of pocket over that worth. Let's say you want to sell that house 5 years down the line. When you sell it back, and then the appraisals are back on the table, it appraises at $395,000. You've lost $10,000, or I'm sorry, you've lost $5,000 in purchasing this home. It wasn't a good purchase investment. Real estate always is a great purchase investment when it comes to building equity, building wealth. That's why you buy homes. That's why we buy homes, is to build equity and to build wealth. If you are going into a home that's such negative equity as a first-time home buyer, and then you decide to move 5-6 years down the line, you've lost that value in your home. You're under what they call underwater.
Underwater, right. And so So again, I don't necessarily like to talk about what happened over 10 years ago. However, the concept remains true. And so what people have been doing is they're rolling the dice.
They are.
And they're betting on the market value to go up significantly. It's exactly what happened, 13 years ago. And the thing is, people just kept betting and kept betting and kept betting. At some point, you're going to have a market correction. Right. Which is going on with the stock market right now. Right. I see a bunch of red. When I look at Yahoo Finance, I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, stop. But there will be a correction,
there will
at some point.
There will. Yes.
You know, so that can end up being a problem. So let me ask you this. So I know that you work with a lot of different realtors.
Yes.
Okay. You work with some who've been in the business for a while. You work with some who are brand new. So what are some of the challenges just generally that you see that some agents, whether they're experienced or not experienced, outside of the inventory? Okay. What are some of the challenges that they're experiencing right now?
So we're in a world of COVID. And so in a world of COVID, that's what I call it, we are absolutely having to pivot. This is such a belly-to-belly industry.
Yes, it is.
That's why, you know, for me, I'm such a people person. I love people. I love helping people. I love meeting people. I love being with people. So as a realtor, I hope that you're a people person.
Yes.
And that you like to help people, and as well as in mortgage and lending.
Right.
So that's the shift. That's the biggest shift that I've seen, experienced, and seen with agents and people in our industry, is that we're having to shift our belly-to-belly role to a more technology world. With that being said, though, you can still connect with people through technology.
Okay.
The silver lining that I have seen with that is this. So before, I would have 3 hours of windshield time a day. I would maybe at most, a full day would be meeting 3 people for coffee or lunch.
Okay.
I would sit down for an hour and a half, 2 hours with that person a day, which I love. I miss that. I love that. But I would make sure that I connect with those 3 people and share my message of MBH Settlement Group and what I do and how I can service and help them to 3 people at a time, at most. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 at the most a day.
Okay.
Now, technology, I've had Zooms where I've had 275 people on at one time in one room. Fantastic. So now it's an opportunity for me to shift, to pivot, to look at the positive, the silver lining, and see that, holy cow, I can spread my message of helping and servicing my customers and clients. Right. 275 people in a room at a time? This is fantastic.
Well, then, so let's talk about that. So you're the director of corporate sales and marketing. And so to me, it is more effective when you're dealing with someone face-to-face.
Of course.
Generally.
Yes.
So what are some of your techniques that you use if you have 200 people, 50 people, 15 people on a Zoom or whatever, right? How do you connect with them? Right. Like, what's your follow-up technique? How do you connect with them? How do you get them to say, okay, I see her on the screen.
Yes.
I hear her message.
Yes.
It's a great message. It's compelling. I want to do business. But then how do you sometimes bridge that gap?
Right.
You know, how do you build that further rapport that you get often in person?
Right. And so I want to take note, guys. You know, we all hear it, and the money's in the follow-up. Okay. Point blank, period. So whether I meet you in person or on Zoom, it's going to be in the follow-up. It's always going to be in the follow-up. So regardless if it's a video or in person, what I'm going to do is make sure that in that recorded Zoom, I'm going to get an inventory of who was on that Zoom. I want to make sure I have that list of people who were on that Zoom. And I'm going to follow up, whether it's via phone call, via email, via trying to create a meeting with them in some other sort of way. Getting my message out there, providing resources, whether it's in a drip campaign, whether it's in a Facebook Live post, thanking them later. It's always in the follow-up. So it doesn't matter if it's in person. It doesn't matter if it's on Zoom. You got to follow up with these people and connect with them outside of that meeting.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
Yes, that's never changed.
Yes. And again, I've been very vulnerable on my podcast, and that's one of the areas that we are working especially hard on in 2022 is the follow-up. Why? Because I think the follow-up takes discipline.
It does.
You know, it takes planning, you know, it takes that preparation. And at the end of the day, it takes execution.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't execute, you know, I've seen it both ways. I've had times when I've followed up and I've gotten multiple referrals and I'm like, thank God I followed up. And I've had times when I didn't follow up. And I found out one way or the other, that person went out and used someone else to purchase a home, to refinance, and it hurts. It hurts because it's like, because there's a missed opportunity from a business and a personal perspective, as, you know, as far as I'm concerned. And so to use that as a bridge, looking back at 2021, what are some areas, you know, that you feel that you've grown professionally in 2021? And what are some areas that you want to continue to grow in coming up in 2022?
Sure. So in 2021, for me, I wanted to paint the town, MBH. I really did. And it helps to believe in what I provide. And I do. I to my core, I believe and know that MBH Settlement Group has the best resources for our agents. And for our lenders and for our buyers and sellers. Right. Like, I believe in our message. I believe in our services. I believe in our resources so much. And I really do. So it absolutely you have to believe in it.
Absolutely.
And in believing it, I love my position. I am one of those people that literally can honestly say, like, I love my job. And it's not a job. So unfortunately, I don't work 9 to 5. I work 24/7. Because it's such an intricate part of my life.
Yes.
And so if you choose to be in this industry, if you choose to be in real estate, as you guys know, as realtors, lenders, anyone who's in the real estate industry, why are you doing this? Do you do it because you love it? Do you do it because you love the market? Do you do it because you love people?
Right.
Ask yourself why first.
Right.
And then after asking yourself why, figure out how you can become better at it.
Okay.
And so I'm always growing. I'm always changing. I'm always educating. I'm huge on education. Huge, huge, huge on educating myself, huge on educating my agents, my lenders, and understanding the process of home buying and selling.
Right.
And so I'm so passionate about it. I'm such a title and real estate geek. I could just talk forever about it, to be honest. And so I've found that passion so much in believing in my message of helping and servicing our people that it just naturally happens for me, I guess. So spreading that message and educating people.
Okay, no, fantastic. And so we're going to end off with this because I think it is important to talk about that. So as a part of the home buying process, okay, where do you feel that title insurance really falls in there?
Oh gosh.
And for anyone who is a first-time buyer looking to purchase a home this year, can you explain why title insurance, like first of all, what it is in layman's terms, and explain what it is and why is it important to get?
Sure. So this is the largest purchase that you will ever receive in your life, more than likely. And it's protecting yourself. It's protecting your investment of purchasing this $400,000 home.
Right.
It is a one-time fee. You pay it at settlement, and it covers you for your ownership of your home. Listen, the lender make sure that you guys have lender insurance for that mortgage. It requires in both Maryland, DC, and Virginia to have that insurance for that loan.
Yes.
If the lender requires it, why would you not as a purchaser?
Absolutely.
There are other ways in which we can help with a purchase at settlement. If you are really in a tight bind, you have a client that's counting every single penny to purchase this home, we get it. But we can help you with that at settlement for those costs to reduce or reduce that cost somehow.
Sure.
But what I don't advise is to waive the title insurance. So I'll give you a scenario.
Please do. Yeah.
So you buy a house that is, 40 years old.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. I am your current settlement company. You just purchased the house. You moved in the house. You're excited. You've had it for about a week.
Okay.
And Fred owned it 20 years ago. So Fred had title insurance and he had the deed and he had the title on the home. Unfortunately, Fred went to jail. Okay. He went to jail 20 years ago. But at that time, that title company, for whatever reason, let's just say Jane.
Okay.
So Jane takes that deed and title and just shoves it in a drawer somewhere and doesn't clearly clear the title.
Okay.
She doesn't clear the title all the way. So technically, Fred still owns this house. Okay.
Right. So can you back up? So what does it mean to clear the title?
Sure. Clearing the title is meaning it's stating that there is no prior ownership. You're transferring that ownership of this property from the seller to the buyer.
Okay.
Everything is clear. All debts are paid. There's no liens on the property, things of that nature. So that's clearing title, making sure that this title is being passed from Fred to you in a clear manner.
Got it.
In a clean manner. There's no bills to be paid, no liens to be paid, things like that.
Okay.
Well, this title company 20 years ago didn't clear that title correctly. Okay. And so Fred still has that title insurance, still has that property deed and title of that property in his hand. Fred gets out of jail and says, wait a minute, I think I have a house somewhere. Here's my deed, here's my title. You didn't purchase it when you just closed a week ago. You didn't purchase title insurance. Okay, you didn't purchase it. You said, I want to waive it. I don't need it. I'm going to buy this house. You did not purchase that title insurance.
Right.
Fred comes knocking on your door to 123 Main Street and says, Brandon, Here's my deed and title. I own this property.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute. No. I just purchased this house a week ago. This is mine. Here's my title and deed to show that this is my property. Well, we're going to go to court. The court's going to ask you, well, did you buy title insurance?
Right.
To make sure that it covers your deed and title.
Got it.
No, I did not. Well, technically, it's Fred's property. So now you're out of the house. You have no house.
Oh, my goodness.
But you're still responsible to pay that mortgage to your lender.
For Fred.
For Fred. And when I tell you, unfortunately, it happens a lot. More than we want it to happen.
Right.
So it's a one-time purchase. You pay it at settlement. You can't pay it after you close.
Right.
You cannot pay
I'm glad you said that.
After you close.
Yeah, because that is, I think that's more of a myth. People think you can go kind of retroactively.
You cannot retroactively pay title insurance after you close.
Okay.
There's two packages, basic and enhanced. One's less than the other. There's comparisons. You can sit down with your title professional and they can explain to you what those two packages are.
Okay.
Again, it's a one-time fee.
Right.
And it covers you for your ownership of that home and beyond.
No, that's fantastic.
And beyond. So.
And here's what's important, for people who are listening to this. When you are looking at your closing documents, when you're looking at the amount of money that you need to bring to the table, when you look at those documents, it will say under owner's title insurance optional. It says that by law.
Only in Virginia.
Only Virginia. Okay. So in Maryland, I guess it's required.
It's required in Maryland and it's required in D.C.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
If you're making such a large purchase and there's lots of other fees that are necessary to purchase at home, you should definitely include it.
Yes.
I always tell people, if you're not considering getting it, number one, do research, but I never advise for people to waive it.
Yes.
It's just not wise it's because you said it's the largest purchase most people are going to make.
Yes.
And bottom line, to be cheap and to not get it, you are really putting yourself at a great risk.
And there's other ways that we can reduce that cost.
Okay.
There's other ways. We will work with you. We will work with your client.
Absolutely.
Okay. And there's other ways. I understand that there's certain situations and there's other ways. There's other ways that we can get around it.
No,
As you know, in real estate, everything's negotiable.
Everything's negotiable,
even to the closing table. So
yes.
Yes.
And so basically, look, what we're trying to do is give prospective home buyers, current homeowners, the best advice and the best guidance that we can, based on what's going on right now. Yes. And these things are not our opinion. It's really, you want to look at what's the rules, what are the guidelines, what are the things that are designed to protect you, right, as a homeowner. And that's exactly what Julie had just mentioned. Is there anything else that you want to mention about MBH Settlement Group or anything else?
No, I just, no, I think for 2022, we need to continue to remain strong and steady and faithful and continuing to build our businesses and our relationships. I know it can be hard because it's become so technology world driven.
Right.
But again, it's in the follow-up. It's making sure that we're connecting with people in different ways. We're just pivoting. We're keeping positive. The market is still going to be hot. Real estate has its ups and downs. As you can see through history, real estate always has its ups and downs.
Absolutely it does.
But it's always there.
Right.
Real estate is an entity that is always there. The building is there.
Right.
So it's a great investment.
Yes,
it's a great dream. We have great partners like Brandon here with Visionary Lending to help you with your loan and to work through with you and your numbers and educating you. Again, it's all about educating, right?
Yes.
And understanding what you can and cannot afford.
Right.
And then with MBH Settlement Group, we're here for you as well to provide a very smooth, professional, and fun settlement. So I thank you so much today for inviting me. I appreciate it. Again, I love educating people. So
absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie. Yes, and it's all about giving value, right, to everyone that we can possibly give value to. So if you have any questions, if you want to, learn more about Julie, if you would like to contact her, definitely check out our show notes. Okay, and we'll have all of her contact information there. So listen, hopefully you got value from this podcast. Thank you so much for your time. I definitely hope that you and your families are safe and blessed during the spring season. Take care.
Thank you.